Welcome to the Startup Podcast. I'm Lisa Calhoun, founding managing partner at Valor Ventures in Atlanta, Georgia. We lead seed rounds across the South, and a lot of times we focus on really exciting early stage B2B healthcare companies, which is why I'm very excited to learn from Linda Lee with the Cleveland Clinic. Linda, welcome so much to the program today.
Nice to see you again, Lisa. Thank you for having me here.
Listen, regarding venture capital, a lot of people won't think of the Cleveland Clinic, which is famous around venture. Could you explain how your role works within the clinic's functions day to day?
Absolutely. I think you're right. Actually, before I got here, I had very little knowledge about the venture effort of the clinic. In fact, it's been in existence for over 4 decades, primarily helping our scientists, the physician scientists, to translate their scientific discoveries to new codes or to licensable technologies to the strategic partners. I think as a team, I'm one of the partners with the ventures team. So as a team, we cover biotech, medtech, some of the digital technologies to streamline the clinical workflow and also patient experience. So we definitely become the connection tissue between the external world and also the clinic. But also, I think our primary mission is focusing on the IP generated by our 5,600 scientists and help them to build and transform the patient care.
5,600 scientists is a lot of IP produced. How many new potential companies are, venture scale concepts do you work with in, say, a year?
Yeah, it is a dynamic number. Sometimes we have 2 or 3 new companies generated, but some years we're probably between 0 to 1. We actually we really don't have a limit number, say how many numbers of companies we need to set up every year. Whenever we see opportunities, whenever we see appropriate technologies, we just go to the inventor and talk to them, understand. I think the primary understanding is what is a clinical gap, why the patient has been not served, what is the best way to carry and improve the patient care. I think that's always the first question we ask. And once that became interesting, and we will do our homework on the market, on the upstream, downstream analysis, and eventually to structure the whole business model around this core IP, but definitely incorporate other IP. Sometimes the other IP comes out of the clinic. We partner with other people from the market.
Well, you're sitting at such a renowned organization, and in fact, healthcare organizations like the Cleveland Clinic or like Ascension and others, they're really megaliths when it comes to driving healthcare innovation forward and helping improve the standard of care. What do you like or notice about the culture of the Cleveland Clinic when it comes to innovation that might be a little different?
Oh, I love this question. When I first came here, I thought this is a large organization. I was relatively new to not only the clinic, but also Cleveland as a transplant to this area. I was very nervous to reach out to our clinician because I know that how busy their clinical hours are. And also and we all know that as a medical doctor, how much time they need to devote lifelong to continuous learning and also their patient easily outside of their working hours. I was quite surprised when I sent out a few emails to the clinician and just asked that, what do you think about the clinical gap? What do you think about the gaps in the patient care? What do you think about this technology? And sometimes I wasn't even confident because new technologies always have deficiencies. They're never perfect. The startup world, the founders, I was very much positively surprised by how long their email was when they were responding to me. Again, they don't know of course, I introduced myself, but other than the first introduction email, that was really nothing impressive that they know about me or our team, but they just enthusiastic around the novel technology to take care of the patients. They actually gave many of those emails. I would say 90% of those emails would just give me a very detailed summary of why they see this as an opportunity, what is the pros, what are the pros and what are the cons. And most of them, I would say, would like to take a meeting with the entrepreneurs. I was really, really touched by that. It's one
Wow.
amazing culture.
Passionate about innovation and willing to make space for it. That's an amazing culture. That's something to be so proud of.
Absolutely. I was shocked, and to a certain extent, I think I was spoiled by that culture. And
Good.
yeah, and also the way that as a large health system, we could easily say that, hey, we want other people to take on some novel technologies or novel solutions, and then we will be like in the kind of like a wait and see attitude. But that was not the case here. We always wanted to try something new. So it was completely changing my stereotype around the large health systems.
Wow. Well, I don't have a lot of stereotypes around large health systems because a lot of my background is not in healthcare, but I'm happy to share. I have a fairly up close and personal experience with the Cleveland Clinic because I participate in the brain study, which is something that you actually travel out to do, and you spend the whole day and you do a sleep study, and they take all bodily fluids and also do a very thorough mental inventory. So it makes you think, oh my goodness, how many
Yeah.
numbers can I remember in a row, right? But everyone I encounter in that fairly complex research process, which is, every year goes on, they're passionate about what they're doing. I mean, even the person who's putting the electrodes on my head is like an expert. And it's so impressive working with that type of a team. So it's exciting. I really respect the work that you all do in so many levels. I would love to know a little bit more about you, though. How did you get into this fascinating role, and what's your day-to-day like?
Oh, I was definitely a lucky bird here. Honestly, venture capital was not even a career when I was graduating from the National University of Singapore, where I took my master program with. Um, when I first came into the venture capital, I was interviewing with my former fund called Vickers Venture, and before I came to the interview meeting. I got, of course, referred by a friend and said somebody is starting a new fund, and are you interested in taking a look? I was like, what do you mean by fund? And she said, oh, I don't know much details. Maybe just a merchant banking firm. This is around 2005. I think today maybe no people, but around 2005, I would say 5% of people globally use merchant banking. That's just an old world word that nobody was using around the time. But I was like, okay, I would take the meeting, and I will send my resume and schedule something up. It turned out a great opportunity that brought me to the venture capital world. My former fund partner who founded Vickers Venture, he was the early investors in the Google of China called Baidu. And ever since then, I participated in his fund as a young analyst in 2005, and then also as a co-founding member, later become a co-founding partner in 2009, and led investment in mainland China for a few years, and also co-developed the US market around 2011 or 12. That's where my previous fund set up the first footprint in US. And that's also around the same time we started to become more focused on biotech and healthcare technologies in this market. And cumulatively, that fund raised $750 million across 6 major funds. It was a great experience. I think, as I said, I was just a lucky bird. So maybe my personal experience is giving a lot of messages to the startup, to the entrepreneurs, that just try everything. Even this opportunity doesn't sound like fancy at the beginning. Merchant banking is not a fancy word at the beginning, but it could be turn out as a fancy opportunity, career-wise, business partner-wise, just everything magic could happen. I think my career path really proved that point.
You've had a fascinating career path and an exposure to China during the heyday of the AI boom, which was really setting the pace for the world for quite some time there. All eyes were on China. How do you apply that experience to the Cleveland Clinic? What are some of the parallels that you notice sort of from your unique point of view?
That was a great insight, Lisa. I'm glad you mentioned my experience in China. You're right. 2005, around ish, was the like. Many people actually call 2005 is as a starting year of the venture capital industry in China. Around the time Sequoia set up their first office in China, and absolutely correct to say it was the beginning of the heydays. And I think again, as a lucky bird, I harvested like almost the 10 years of the heydays in Asia market, and also best days of the U.S. market after the subprime crisis in 2008, 2009. That's around when we set up the first U.S. footprint. I think my personal being a generalist at the beginning of my career and then later become a health or biotech focused investor, that really gave me different pairs of lens to look at the whole healthcare industry. In fact, the consumer internet industry experience kind of brought me always to look at our healthcare industry from a consumer angle rather than a regulatory angle. I know regulatory is super important for most of the
Sure.
healthcare business, yeah, but at the end of the day, if you think about it, it's about user, it's about a patient, it's about a clinician, and some product is probably not for patient, but they are supporting the clinicians to improvise their work, to bring the efficiency to their work, or just bring some comfortness. For instance, a good ergonomic design for the surgeons in the op room could actually significantly improve their performance, right? Guess how many surgeons are claiming like PTOs just because exactly you will be shocked by the number, at least based on my little research here at the clinic. I would say that a significant of their PTOs is contributing to a pain management, and that's what they needed for their career. So any solution is, at the end of the day, it's about the user centric. It's about the individuals. I think that really gives me, especially in this, like as you mentioned, the AI era. So this is super important, that how to help or improve the individual's capability, both the clinician and the patients, to understand what they're facing in terms of the big data, in terms of how to manage their own patient journey and workflow on the front line.
What an incredible insight from, the arc of your experience to bring that consumer lens, patient lens, user lens to healthcare. And it's a lens that is frequently missing with all of the healthcare investors. We both know many of them that are kind of regulatory first, and there are a lot of reasons for that. But it's really great to hear about Cleveland Clinic really centering the patient experience with partners on the team like you. It makes me feel better.
Oh, absolutely. Our first thing is patient first. That's always the thing. That's always the first thing at Cleveland Clinic. No matter what, patient first. So absolutely, 100% agree with you.
And you brought up AI. I want to double click on that. How are clinicians receiving AI? I mean, you and I both know it's like 50%, as we speak, 50% of new seed dollars in venture are going to AI. It is a craze. It is a fad. Is it a fad that is here to stay, in your opinion? And what kind of feedback are you getting on AI strategies from some of your users and stakeholders?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked this question, because I think, again, this is probably related to the culture that we discussed earlier. Initially, I thought that large healthcare organizations probably will be maybe not the first batch of organizations adopting the most advanced technologies, but it's proven that I was wrong again. We're very much embracing the AI technology. So I'll give you a couple of examples here. One is that guess how much time that charting is taking from the doctor's time every day. 1 hour.
50%.
50%. Actually close enough, not that, because we have already developed some automation, but you might be right. In some of the providers that they are less equipped with advanced IT team and also infrastructure, it might be as crazy as 50%. But generally, averagely across all the clinicians, all the institutes, this could be averagely 1/3 of their time every day. So if it's 8 hours, we're talking about 3 hours minimally contributed to the
It's a
chart.
lot of time for someone that has a brain to help care and cure to be charting. That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and based on my conversation with some of the clinicians, it is crazy as crazy as some of them need to take notes clearly when they talk to the patients. So clearly you can see that they reduce their eye contact with their patient. They have to focus on their notes. And then when they bring back the notes to their office at the end of the day, they really need to lock themselves and make sure that they chart everything in the correct places in the system. So that became a heavy burden for the clinician. But Lisa, you're investing in other industries. You know that many other industry has been really improved by the AI technology, and this tax taking a lot of time, but it doesn't sound that difficult in terms
Right.
if the technology can help. So this is really one of the major domains that Cleveland Clinic introduces: ambience listening, AI in ambience listening, AI in patient summary, AI in charting, AI in coding.
It's exciting. I mean,
Exactly. So
getting
all this technology will eventually benefit patients, right?
absolutely. There are so many places where you can see quick wins, and I'm very excited about that future. I'm excited about being a patient in that future where there are automated supports for my care team. I think that they deserve it, they need it. And in other industries, we have that support, and it's really creating large ROI. I mean, recently I was reading Klarna's own case study in fintech about it's like 30 to 40% better bottom line results from using just an integration into basic chat GPT from OpenAI in their customer service. So, I mean, there's a lot of low hanging fruit that in the proper mind with the proper systems like Cleveland Clinics,
Yeah.
going to be world changing. It's going to be a true brave new world.
Absolutely. So I know that part of our audience today are entrepreneurs. I really encourage them to, even though I said there are so many companies in existence helping health system to develop the AI or other intelligence in patient summary or charting, but honestly, we still kind of in huge demand of all aspect solution to support the operation here to really improve the efficiency here. For instance, we are actually again brewing another collaboration with a startup, which can help us to efficiently identify the patients for the clinical trials. So this is another industry, again, probably overlooked by some investors or entrepreneurs. But guess what? Pharmaceutical are struggling to get their patients. If they get patient recruitment done completed within 2 years versus within 6 months, that's a significant operation cost reduction potentially for.
But also potentially slows down getting potentially life-saving products to the market when you can't recruit enough human trial participants. Yeah, that's also a really interesting field to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's so many AI solutions, and even we talk about home hospital because these days we know that caregivers are caregivers in health systems, but so many caregivers, they're quote unquote unofficial caregivers, family caregivers, right? They take care of Parkinson patient, they take care of Alzheimer's patient. How can we support them to complete their care duties to their family members, to their friends? So how we can connect the information flow from the health system to the individuals and to allow the information shared among family members, that everything kind of requires the entrepreneurs to be creative and innovative to provide solutions and help systems. We can't do everything. And by the way, digital healthcare is definitely the one major area that Cleveland Clinic collaborate a lot with the external companies. So we don't do everything on our own. We definitely open the door to collaborate with entrepreneurs.
You know, I should ask you, is there a portal where an entrepreneur who's listening right now and they're like, I want to reach out to the Cleveland Clinic, you know, that's how they will want to. What is the best way? Because I'm sure you're contacted every day for a founder with a great young firm to reach out to the Cleveland Clinic.
I appreciate you give me this advertisement time that I can advertise our EIR program a little bit. So Cleveland Clinic has innovation. You can go to the innovations, Cleveland Clinic innovations website, and on this website, either you can go to the ventures team, the newco team, new companies, or there's a specific website, or you can just contact the email there. Both paths will direct you to the ventures team or to the EIR program. We actually have a dedicated email address that I can leave with Lisa after this podcast, so people can reach out. So these are the consultants. We call them consultant or EIRs, entrepreneur in residence, that we will touch base. We'll reach out once we discern a clinical gap, and then we know that there might be solutions. So we'll talk to these people and see whether their talents or their expertise could help us to frame this up or shape this up as a standalone business.
So people who are excited about some of the same opportunities you're talking about should register with that EIR program at the website, which we will post in the show notes and in the transcript, and make sure that people get a chance to, if they're not already in touch with your team, raise their hand as someone who's trying to solve some of these bigger challenges.
Yeah, we really appreciate that connection.
Oh, that's good. So, you know, speaking about big challenges and healthcare, the world has been taken by storm in healthcare by GLP-1, semaglutide, Wegovy, Mounjaro, all of the different flags under which these new approaches, some of them older drugs, but now, you know, looking at obesity as the epidemic problem that it is, solving potentially obesity. What are you seeing at the Cleveland Clinic around this new frontier in tackling chronic conditions?
That's a fantastic question. I think GLP-1 is, many people said GLP-1 is going to transform not only the patient care journey, but also some of the drug development or drug discovery fields. I tend to agree with this view. We do see that even within Cleveland Clinic, we're a self-insured entity, so we kind of interested in exploring how to tackle this obesity or diabetes problem among our clinic employees. I think so far the cost of the GLP-1 drugs, as you know, Lisa, this is definitely a huge cost.
It's crazy, but
nationwide.
to your point about the team itself, if I recall, and please correct me because I probably don't recall, but I think Cleveland Clinic employs something, is it 130,000 people? It is a very large organization.
It is. We have 80,000 actually as of today, including our Northeast Ohio presence, and also we also have presence in Florida, some international presence in London, Abu Dhabi, etc. So these are really like a large group, and GLP-1 adoption is going to put a significant demand on the cost side. But that being said, the benefit might be also interesting here, because if GLP-1, actually obesity by itself is actually the root cause or explain part of the reason why even the cancer or other diseases is onsetting. So it's going to be really interesting if we cover or not to cover GLP-1. I mean, I think probably CMS is evaluating this challenge as seriously as many other health systems.
From what I understand, as a compounded solution, the cost does go down quite a bit. So it might become more approachable. I have a personal take on it and I don't mind sharing. I really believe that these are revolutionary applications of very solid drugs. And while it's not perfect and it's not good for everyone and it's not good for all the time, it needs to be under doctor supervision and all of those things. If we could end chronic obesity, wow, that should be done. I mean, that should be done because it's, as you said, a root cause of so
Yes.
many things.
It's also interesting that recently I saw another research that the data shows that after the patient or the individual stopped on the GLP-1 drug, their weight is actually recurring, reoccurring or rebounding back to the original level after. I think, but that being said, I think really we have to be like cautious about the real world data. That do we need to always take this drug, or do we can we stop the drug, stop administering the drug at certain time point, and then around then what kind of weight growth or the patient will behave after stopping use.
It's like a real world experiment going on right now. I know it's so interesting. Although I have to say, if, when we put, for example, a type 2 diabetic on insulin, their weight may be managed. It may change if weight is a contributing factor. It isn't always. But if they need to take insulin the rest of their life, that's considered okay. People with thyroid issues, they may have to take something for the rest of their life. I think the more we understand obesity as a disease system, the more we might be compassionate about making sure that people who have that are able to get the treatment that the disease state really requires. And I know we don't know what we don't know because this has been such a new phenomenon, but I do find it, just like you do, very interesting, and it is changing the face of healthcare. It is reshaping approaches in real time, which is
Absolutely.
always exciting, always exciting. I also really, those studies that have come out really in the last years, when I've noticed them, they may be older than that, but where GLPs reduce inflammation through, systemically, and also seem to reduce, for some, cravings and addictions. Wow, that's powerful. Yeah.
That is, and you're right on spot to say that it's obesity plus diabetes. So there's a new word recently I use a lot called diabesity. It's
Heard it
it's a
first here.
combination. Yeah, it's 100% right that you say that inhibiting the inflammation is actually the most important thing at the stage. Of course, there are many other reasons explaining a specific disease. But if you ask our oncologist from Toxic Cancer Institute, they would agree that obesity is definitely, or diabesity is definitely important to understand or control for most of the cancer patients here.
Wow.
Yeah, and even for neurology institute, they will also agree that some of the neurodegenerative disease, it will be great if we can control the patient obesity or diabetes status.
Fascinating stuff. Well, for those who tuned in to listen to a venture and startup podcast, don't worry, I'll go right back to that. I was going to ask you, Linda, if you wouldn't mind sharing sort of the arc of a typical deal by walking us through a real deal that, is in the public eye, obviously, and something that you could share, how you met the startup, how you vetted the startup, what your investment process looks like, so that people who are hopeful that you might invest in them get a sense of what the journey looks like.
Well, this is a great opportunity that you brought this up, so I can share one very unique transaction that I made together with our other team member, other partners on the team here early this year. This is a technology that spin off from Cleveland Clinic a while ago. It was focusing on the diagnostic solution for autism or autistic individuals. We call them neurodiverse individuals, but this is more like on the autism spectrum disordered spectrum. So so this is very interesting technology. They basically track the patient's eye movement. And based on the proprietary algorithm we developed here by our inventor, we hope to diagnose whether an individual is neurodiverse on the autism disorder spectrum. So that technology has been set up as a new company before I joined the clinic. And our leadership kind of assigned me and another partner to take care of this investment. And then we got a very unique opportunity. Again, this is opportunity for most of the entrepreneurs who are the audience here, that we do have multiple touch points to collaborate with you. So we got to know another company called Florio. Florio is a very interesting solution. They use the VR headsets, the Microsoft HoloLens and other VR headsets, those kind of VR headsets, to provide a curriculum, digital content curriculum through the VR headsets to the ASD individuals. So with that, that they can, number one, definitely deliver easily to the patients without having the patient or their family to drive them to the offline ABA therapy centers.
Controlled eye tracking. Bring the clinic to you. That's exciting.
Exactly. But around the time, they didn't really track the eyes yet, but they just provide the digital content. So, and then number two, they can really provide a remote, which means more frequent intervention with the individuals. So when we met this company, we saw some natural synergy in between. Number one, both of us are, as you mentioned, the VR headsets can potentially capture the eye movement. If we can link the diagnostic story with the therapeutics or therapy story, we kind of close the business loop end to end, and eventually help the patient to, from the early stage all the way to monitor and eventually treat the individuals as they need it. So this ended up with a transaction that we eventually merged, or the other company, Florio, acquired our spin-off company called Autism Eyes. So Florio eventually acquired Autism Eyes. Now to get together, the two solutions become one company, and Cleveland Clinic put investment dollars after Florio together with other investors in the same round. I think this is really a perfect example for me to welcome the opportunity through your platform. Thank you, Lisa, for inviting me again. But this is a perfect example to say that we really inspired by the potential collaboration with the market, with other entrepreneurs, with their existing companies. In this case, they don't necessarily need to become a EIR. They can bring their companies, and if we find the middle ground, then we can still collaborate and we make this business more successful. And Cleveland Clinic can definitely support with extra capital support.
That's really exciting. And of course, the base of patients. So I would assume, and please let me know if you can share, is Cleveland Clinic also a customer at this point?
We're evaluating. Actually, we're not a customer, to be honest, but we definitely bring extra value from a clinical validation or research collaboration to help propel both solutions development. So we definitely help the business, but we're not a customer yet. So, but that it just because this case is has still only happens about a half year ago, so we might be a customer at the
Oh, it's very early stage. This type of technology is so early. I was just checking because I could see in some situations there could indeed be that, almost trifecta of incubated at Cleveland Clinic through real experience, combined with the right team, perhaps an EIR or an outside company, and then Cleveland Clinic able to really help it with early scale as one of the leading, research hospitals and health systems. So lots
you
of
really pinpoint our our mission or our daily work, actually, we really want to kind of co-develop some of the solutions that can be universal solutions for everybody on the market. So if I may say it this way, we don't want to just bring the patients to our clinic. We want to offer this, as you said, we want to push the clinic to the patients so they don't need to necessarily physically visit the clinic, but they still can enjoy the quality of care from the clinic, the novel technology created by the clinic. That's probably echoes to why we want to be a national or global presence. Again, this is not only about a clinical practice somewhere, it's about like how we generally take care of the patient cohort. Do we have a solution more broadly adopted by the market?
Are there any specific sectors where you feel like Cleveland Clinic is that you'd like to call out to our listeners if they're developing in these subspecialties of healthcare that you're particularly keen on in the next 12 to 18 months?
That's a great question. I would say that people know Cleveland Clinic by reputation, and cardiology is probably the first word to come to people's mind.
Well, you do have an enormous heart hanging in the foyer. I mean, anyway, please go ahead.
Right. Definitely. But I would say that other than cardiology, we call them HVTI, Heart Vascular and Thoracic Institute. But other than HVTI, we definitely have, we're very strong in urology, gastroenterology, and neurology. You know, I'm not going to list every single of them, but we definitely look for, as I said, we look for partners. We look for talents who can help us to really broaden our service area. For instance, many people today still fly to Cleveland to for surgeries. How do we kind of bring the identical twins, the digital twins of our surgeons? So, and can we find a solution that a surgeon doesn't need to? Of course, we're talking to several partners today while I'm talking. Yeah. I'm just using this as an example that potentially that other partners would be interested. So can we just help the local that is less equipped healthcare facility? Can we help them to guide their surgeries? And then also without moving the patient to the Cleveland Clinic. And then we can still deliver the similar care and or improve the local facilities surgical quality. So these are the technologies we definitely are interested, and we wanted to partner with everyone in those areas.
Linda, I am so grateful that you have shared more of the vision of your work, how you partner with entrepreneurs, exciting technologies, and also the 5,600 scientists and clinicians practicing and developing new techniques, new science. How can people catch up with you in person? Are there any events on your radar where Cleveland Clinic is going to be out and about and founders, entrepreneurs, potential partners can actually say hi?
Oh, we welcome people to say hi. We have footprints at all the major conferences, for instance, Bio, JP Morgan, and LR. There was one medical device company that, sorry, I will come back with the name, but LSI. So these are the conferences. We definitely have a footprint. We normally send a team there. So if people see our name, welcome to come to our booth. But the latest and most recent one is the one called Health. We'll have a pretty big presence in Health in Las Vegas in October. So if you are interested in talking to us or set up some meetings, happy to drop an email to me, or again, come to our website and drop email to the email that we provided on our website. One of our colleagues will definitely direct you to the people, to the team, and look forward to seeing everybody at Vegas.
That's super timely. I will make sure that all these are in the show notes and also in the materials of the transcript so that people can just pull them out. If you're watching this or listening to this, please go to the podcast website for some of that. And Linda, thank you again for sharing more of your story. I hope we get a chance to have you back on the program in a year or so and catch up with some of your latest deals and get your take on what's shaping healthcare.
Well, thank you again, Lisa, for giving us this platform and opportunity to share with entrepreneurs and to share more about what we have done as a team here. Look forward to collaborating with Valor VC and also all the entrepreneurs from the South.